Learn what people are thinking about the product or brand or the industry as a whole, because you can monitor your own brand, you can monitor your competition, find out what they are doing and where they are present. You can monitor the whole category of your products and then get insights on social media, find hashtags, find influencers that are super popular in this general topic, and then build your strategy, build your content plan according to these trends that are emerging.
Deconstruct what your competition is doing, not just for link building, but like you said, social media, influencer marketing, and we can see how they are growing their brand and across what strategies, and then we can mimic those in order to achieve the same results.
One video generated 5 million views, and we forget about the fact that there were
1, 2, 3, 4.
Want to attract and convert more leads? Want to learn how digital PR, branding, and SEO can establish and build your brand identity? Welcome to the Market Movers Building Brands and Links with Linkify podcast. We answer these questions and help you ramp up your brand visibility and credibility. Let's cut through the noise and make your business the talk of the town. We're your hosts, Nick and Chris. Let's get this show on the road.
Welcome to the Market Movers podcast. Today we are exploring brand monitoring and reputation management with Justyna Dzikowska, Head of Marketing at Brand24. Welcome, Justyna.
Hello, Chris. Thank you very much for having me, and hello, everybody.
Thank you for being here. Okay, if you want to just start things off by introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about your background in marketing.
Okay, so my name is Justyna. You pronounced it perfectly. I'm so
Thank
impressed. So yeah, I've been with Brand for the last 3 years now. For the last 10 years, I've been working with different SaaS companies, agencies that are doing e-commerce or AI stuff on the global market. So I've had a lot of opportunities to work with Brand24 as a client as well. And I really love the tool. So when I noticed that they are looking for a head of marketing, I really wanted to join the company and present the tool and use it from the other perspective. And here we are, almost center of Europe, Wrocław, but working globally. Almost 100 of people in the company working on the tool every month. And me personally managing a team of 10 plus people right now, trying to manage all our content marketing, SEO performance, social media, link building, and other type of marketing that we do.
Oh, wow. So you're doing everything then. Well, I've been using Brand24 now for about a month. So we often do our tracking for clients using a combination of some free tools and some like manual checking. But as a platform, I've got to say there is a lot in there. So why don't you start by just explaining to me the primary use cases for Brand24 that you see your clients using it for right now?
So the most common use case is for marketers. We also have salespeople using Brand24 to find perfect customers, especially in B2B, for example, and they are searching something on LinkedIn. Sales teams are fascinated with the possibilities of the tools. Product teams are also super happy with finding insights about their product, what people are happy about, what is satisfying for the client, what is not so satisfying, and what they should work on, what should be the agenda of their roadmap, and how they should prioritize things on it. But these are, let's say, side use cases. Our main area where we work is marketing. So social media and brand managers, communication managers in terms of content and PR strategy especially are using it to learn what people are thinking about the product or brand or the industry as a whole, because you can monitor your own brand, you can monitor your competition, find out what they are doing and where they are present and what podcasts they come to and visit. You can monitor the whole category of your product. So for example, if you're selling yoga pants and you want to see what is Lululemon doing about it and what people like or dislike in the category of yoga pants, you can monitor this as a whole and then get insights on social media, find hashtags, find influencers that are super popular in this general topic, and then build your strategy, build your content plan according to these trends that are emerging, build your next social media post around the topic that is very popular, using the emojis that you see in Brand24 that are becoming popular, and just making it more favorable for the algorithm and also better resonating with people who are in your audience or you would love them to be.
So it's essentially a listening tool then, and we can input our brand name or keywords associated with our brand that we want to be tracking on a continuous basis. Is that correct?
Yes. And in the SEO landscape, it's of course used to monitor your brand and seeing when it appeared and was unlinked or linked, but without a do follow link. You can always come up in both categories. You can also monitor, let's say, the general industry keyword that is related to your product or to your brand. And then you see the websites that were writing about it, the profiles that were writing about it, influencers that are into the topic, and you can easily build your outreach list to get to those people and build your next month to-do list based on the people that are connected to the topic. You can also monitor your competition and see when they are present, and you can generally find the discussions that are coming around. So if you want to insert links in some chats or groups or forums that are very popular, you can easily find them with Brand24.
Okay, that's awesome. So as I'm digging around the platform, I can see as well that it's broken down into areas that we're going to be listening. So blogs, social media, and then we can input specific keywords, either specifically our brand name or keywords related to our brand. So you mentioned earlier, if you were a yoga company and you wanted to see what the general mood around yoga pants was at that time. So just talk to me. Let's take that hypothetical yoga brand company for an example, and give me some specific use cases on how that yoga brand company can use a social listening tool in order to enhance the visibility of their own brand.
So first of all, if you're a smaller brand, you want to monitor your competition to see where they are appearing, and you want to monitor the whole category. When you have the keyword already mapped, it takes like 10 seconds to have the results on the first 5 minutes of using the tool. So you don't need like a lot of time to gather those data, but it's good to have a project set up and then give it a few days and see what different types of data, different platforms and sources will come up on it. And then it's super easy to work on it. I would start from checking out the competitors that will show up in the results and see what they are doing, what's their strategy, because very often our clients are not aware of all the competition that is out there on the internet. I would check the influencers and like platforms which are the most popular. And with Brand24, you can also get the sentiment of the discussion. So very, very, very often we see that there is a negative discussion, a lot of conflicts on Twitter, for example, or X, if you will, and people complaining about practically everything, like product, brands, world existing. But if you take the same topic and the same leggings to TikTok, people are pretty happy with all brands, products, and the whole hobby that they are talking about. And you can see that this discussion from the brand side is way easier. So having that information can change our strategy about. I would take a look at the sentiment and the places that this discussion is happening. I would take a look also on the hashtags and topic analysis. This is a very cool thing that just aggregates all the mentions, because sometimes if you're working for a bigger brand or bigger corporation, your brand is well known, you will get tons of mentions. You will get like several million mentions after a while, and it's very hard to aggregate. And our AI put it into nice little topics that and tell you about the sentiment and the proportion of this topic in the whole discussion. So maybe it will be a good example. Recently, I was checking remote work as a keyword for employer branding campaign we wanted to work on. Many people are very unhappy with remote work, discussion related to optimizing your productivity, improving your, everyday routines. People are really fed up with this and sick of it, and they don't want companies to encourage them to work harder. What they are really interested about, and where the sentiment is positive, is talking about traveling, free time, like general digital nomad lifestyle and freedom that it gives. So sometimes it's very obvious in some industries, especially technological construction or hardcore IT stuff. Sometimes this emotional aspects are not that easy to read, especially if you're a new marketer industry, if you're starting a new job. These are the data that I would first look into and see what people are talking about, what are the topics, and which are the easiest to convert into the topic that I can talk about as a brand.
I think this is what's really fascinating then about this as an approach, because as a company that does social listening on behalf of our clients in order to track where they have been mentioned, if that's been as a direct result of us conducting PR for that client, we obviously want to find out every unlinked mention which has been a result of our PR activity, and then reach out and get that unlinked mention turned into a link. But what I think's awesome is that you can take your competition and you can go and see what activities are they currently engaged in, and rather than just using it to reactively find out, where you've been linked to or not linked to, you can proactively deconstruct what your competition is doing, not just for link building, but like you said, social media, influencer marketing, and we can see how they are growing their brand and across what strategies, and then we can mimic those in order to achieve the same results for us and our clients.
Yeah, or do something exactly opposite, like not to mimic, just try a different angle. If you have the data and you see that, okay, this is quite obvious topic that is popular and generally recognized on the market, but you can also see those emerging trends that are smaller but might blow up in a second. So we are monitoring and aggregating also data about hashtags and emojis, and this is my favorite, and I know many people in marketing also love it, because with the emojis sometimes it's obvious, and sometimes when you do it every day, this is just super hard. And also in outreach, when you're writing a lot of emails and you just need to come up with the idea for a topic using the language that is natural for your audience, because you don't want to sound like this AI generated email that has been sent out to millions of people. You want to sound just like your audience, with the language that your audience is using. So social listening is very helpful with that, and you can connect the mentions that you're aggregating with the AI brand assistant, and it can also generate some propositions of the communication using the language that your audience is using, and this is generating way higher conversion rates that you would normally have with random ideas.
That's awesome, and I love the fact then that you just said do the exact opposite. So I'm intrigued if you've got any real life examples where, and if this is a strategy which is workable. Let's take again the hypothetical example of the yoga pants company. They're monitoring their competition and they're all sort of doing the exact same stuff, working with the same influencers, doing the same sorts of PR campaigns. Is it something where we can look cross-vertical and find other industries that are doing interesting things that have yet to be done within our yoga pants industry, and we take that and apply it to, a different vertical?
Yeah. So when you're monitoring competition, you're getting tons of information about what they're doing. You can see their hashtags, their emojis, their topics, and their campaign, which is great, along with the sentiment and the results, like total reach. This is something that we very often miss, because we see that this one video generated 5 million views, and we forget about the fact that there were no interactions, no comments, no saves. Like, it looks good on paper, but what you're really missing is the whole impact on the community. But if you want to do something different, I would recommend just monitoring the category, like the whole yoga or wellness well-being category online, and then the AI would suggest you the ideas, the topics that are hot. You would just show them in your report, in your summary, in your word cloud, just something that inspires you, or some niche that is not explored, and some influencers that were not collaborating with your competition the last month, because that's one thing I really hate to see, when there are influencers that are working with all the possible brands in the industry, and just each month they are recommending something different. It doesn't look credible. I'm sorry for them or for the brands. So from a marketer perspective, it's super important to find those people that were not yet
that's interesting.
with another brand.
So do you see that a lot then? Sort of the influencers just working with the top few brands within a given niche and just doing the rounds?
Yeah, it happens. I mean, I understand you. Of course, you want to expand your personal brand and do the living from what you do. So they're expected to test different brands. And if both brands are good, it's okay to recommend the two. But from a marketer's perspective, I would rather to have an influencer that is maybe smaller and not that popular, but haven't recommended the competition yet. I would feel it's more like maybe honest and
effective as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. Okay, let's move on to reputation monitoring then. So for those of us that don't know, can you first explain to me what reputation monitoring is and why is that important for brands?
This is a PR topic, of course, and I'm sure all the PR people know why it's important. You don't want your brand to have a negative discussion around it. In, for example, Brazil. Maybe you're not from Brazil. Maybe you're not fluent in Portuguese, and you are not able to spot this negative discussion during the first 24 hours. And these 24 hours are really crucial if we're talking about PR crises and reputation protection. So with social listening, you have this monitoring globally, and whenever your brand will be mentioned in a good or negative context, you will get an instant notification on your mailbox. And this is super important, especially when you're working between different time zones with global brands, with different languages. You will immediately find out when there was someone mentioning your brand, even if it was like a smallest person on Twitter on the other side of the world, you will be notified about it. And you can observe the trend. If it's a positive mention, of course, you can say thank you, use it as a testimonial on your website, come, start an interaction with this person, show that you're a present, actively listening brand that is close to your users. And that's always awesome. And if this mention is negative, you usually need to take up some steps inside your company. So you need to communicate with other people. Maybe they're on holidays. It takes some time to come up with a strategy to create, like a statement solution, offer something to the person that was not satisfied with your product or service. So this time that you save with notification gives you time to think about what to do and how to take this maybe small crisis into something positive, but definitely not allow to spread it into something bigger that could hurt your company.
So when you say the first 24 hours, do you mean the first 24 hours of any form of negative sentiment hitting the ears of the social listening tool? Or do you mean the release of a campaign which starts to attract negative sentiment? Or could it be anything, just one person saying something bad about the brand? You want to lock that down within the first 24 hours of that being picked up?
It could be totally anything. Right now, you can have a random stranger from Asia posting a TikTok about your company, and in 24 hours, and this is because how algorithms work, if it gets good traction in the first 3 minutes, it will be shown to bigger group of people, and if it gets good traction in the next 15 minutes, it will be shown to a bigger group of people. So every hour is super important, and if people it's really interesting and people are clicking on it, you can expect massive numbers even on the same day after several hours. So these 24 hours are crucial, from the moment when the mention is there. And if somebody's talking about your company or product or service in a negative way, and you're not there for 24 hours online, it's really a lot.
Okay, that's fantastic. So essentially, it's an absolutely essential thing for brands to be doing, because otherwise it can spiral into something way less manageable than it could have been if they'd have picked up on this and acted upon that information quickly. So that's really interesting. So now what I'd like to know is how can brands effectively look out for this stuff? So if somebody went on, let's say somebody had a tiny bad experience, and they just mentioned something on Twitter, but it wasn't even really part of their overall post. It was a throwaway comment or something much more serious. How can a brand, what should they be on the lookout for in terms of what should be setting up red flags that it's something that they need to jump on?
Well, first of all, the context is super important, and here AI comes really handy, because you can filter negative and positive mentions that were out there for the last 24 hours. So maybe you get too much emails and you don't see the notification on your mailbox. You can always go to the platform and filter all those negative mentions and see if there is something that has a negative trend. And by that, I mean it's growing really fast, sometimes unproportionally to the size of the account that was posting.
Okay.
From the
That's
beginning.
interesting. Yeah.
This is something that is very popular right now, that we see news on television that are quoting internet sources that are quoting someone's tweet. And this is like the news. A week later, we get a news on Fox News that someone said something online and it was commented on Twitter. And then there is a whole social issue that is being discussed on a national level. This is super popular, and it makes the small event takes like more than this 24 hours. It can really escalate quickly. And if there are 5 million views, 10 million views of some TikTok, it may be really discussed on the national television. So if that's your brand being discussed negatively.
We've all seen it. Yeah, we've seen it.
Yeah, you don't want to be this company. And I've also seen companies that were reacting on their competition's negative mentions saying, oh, we're sorry you had to experience that. Come to us. It will be better.
That's genius. Yeah.
That's always a win. Like the customers are always like, wow, I would expect from a company that cares about their clients.
Yeah. What can brands do to effectively get ahead of a situation like this then within those really important first few hours? And have you got any real life examples of where you've seen a brand effectively manage a negative social outburst that could have escalated, but they were able to do something clever to contain it?
I have an example of Nestle actually, but on the Polish market. So you probably haven't heard about it because it was the crisis that didn't escalate.
Okay, well, yeah,
super important, yeah.
Hence being the perfect example, yeah.
Yeah. You don't hear about the crises that didn't outburst if they were managed properly, and that's the best crisis a PR person can have in their career. I don't want to give too much details because it's obviously our client, but there was some global communication that Nestle had to release also in Poland regarding a product, and the news, just official news about the product being taken down from some other market was published in Polish media, although this product was not distributed in Poland and didn't have to be taken down on the Polish market. But this news was distributed on a group for young mothers, and this was a product for babies. So as you can imagine, the emotional background behind the issue was huge, and many people, of course, on the group started panicking and asking, hey, like maybe we should stop buying all of their products right now in general. But they spotted that, and they knew that this is just maybe a small forum right now, but there were many people observing the discussion. Several already talking about it, already panicking, already creating fake news about the whole issue. So they went there like with their official but also very human-to-human communication, saying, hey, no need to panic. We are all safe. Like our products on Polish market are 100% checked. We didn't need to take down anything. You can safely buy food for your children and really not worrying about some news from the other side of the world. And they did that perfectly.
Yeah, so perfectly well handled based on the fact that they were able to see and act on that information as quickly as possible. Yeah, fantastic. Okay, you touched on this slightly. I wanted to talk about how looking at your competition, how monitoring your competition, what gains brands can get from that. You touched on that slightly when you talked about jumping on a brand having something negative said about them and then stepping in as maybe the alternative and saying like, oh, sorry, that happened to you. And we've seen this, I've seen this from some, huge, well-run social accounts by some of the airline companies in the UK, some of the budget airline companies. They'll jump on this when one person complains about having a terrible flight, and you'll see one of the competitive low-cost airlines go on and say, hey, sorry to hear about this. Why don't you fly with us next time? And you'll see it with some of the supermarket brands as well in the UK. So it's a really clever strategy, and it seems to work. Are there any other use cases outside of that where monitoring your competition can provide a benefit to you as a brand?
I would say from my own SaaS industry, because with B2C, fast-moving consumer goods, this is easy to test your competition. It's easy to see how do they work. But with software as a service product, it's super hard to become a client and then stay for a year and see what's good about the competing platform, what's not, how do they operate. And there are also multiple marketing SaaS brands that I follow, and I know that they struggle with the same thing. You cannot see the product. You cannot check what's the actual advantage against your own product. So you can monitor them, and their clients will tell you online. They will complain on the platforms that are where they are rating this product. They will complain on forums, on social media. They will tell what they love about the product, and then you can revise your own product strategy and the directions that you're going and see, okay, really 30% of people were super happy with the new AI navigation something in their product. Maybe we should think about developing something similar. Or on the other hand, they developed something to, manage better social media interactions. And it's been a year, no one's talking about it. Maybe this is not a good direction.
I think that's
especially important, I think, for all the services as well. So sorry to interrupt, but also if you're an agency, it's impossible to compete, to see what is the value of the other agency services. Are customers happy? What are they struggling with? You need to do the social listening to find out this information.
Because the customers are going to tell you, good or bad. That is such important information for you as a brand for the health of your own brand, reputation management, but also for the services and products that you're delivering to your customers. So it seems like such an essential thing to be doing. And brands that aren't doing this really are leaving so much usable data and information out there in the ethos, which if they can just put their hands on, it could have such a significant impact on their business, their profitability, the way that they interact with their customers, the way that they position themselves as a brand. It's all there for them to utilize. I think it's amazing. Can you give me any examples of really successful brands that you've seen utilizing specifically Brand24? Maybe newer brands that have joined the platform and have only been on there for, let's say, 6 to 12 months. Just some of the key takeaways that they've been able to implement and the successes that they've enjoyed as a result.
Okay, so a great example of one of our customers would be Piwik Pro. It's an analytics platform, a privacy-friendly one, really, really hot product through the last 7 years or even more. But they have huge competition. Google Analytics has been free for years for so many companies, so people just got used to, and it's very hard to switch. So they need to first build brand awareness, beat out the competition and show the real value that you get with the analytics, and then convince people like on the top of the B2B marketing ladder that they want to do this switch. And they are doing amazing job with that on all the possible levels. They are involved in all the discussions online that are related to product analytics or generally online analytics. They are working with the journalists, reacting to the press conferences and everything that is happening like in the industry marketing media. And of course, they are talking to people, to clients that are generally interested in privacy-friendly analytics or marketing analytics at all. And when they see that someone is even starting to asking questions about it on LinkedIn or any other platform, they are there to come and explain what are the differences between privacy and non-privacy analytics platforms. What do you really need to do to comply with the rules in certain countries, and what you may not know about the market that you plan to enter. And they are really masters in that. We have a great case study with them on our website. If you want, I highly recommend to go and find a bit more.
That sounds good. I imagine as well they had a lot of information on what not to do with. Everybody has not been happy with the crossover to the new Google Analytics GA4. So I imagine that was a rich tapestry of data for them to just add all the functionality to their product that everybody's been complaining about with with Google. So yeah, that's brilliant. Okay, as we approach towards the end of the discussion then, you talked about this at the beginning briefly, hashtags. Why should brands be monitoring hashtags? Are they still important? Are they still used? Break it down to me, spill the beans on hashtags.
Of course, they are still important. Depending on what type of hashtag you use, you can have double or triple or quadruple reach of your post, because people are searching for certain topics on social media. And of course, Google is still number one in most of the countries, but people are switching to ChatGPT and to the social media, especially the Gen Z and younger generations. They won't be going through ads and very long lines of sponsored content to dig through the traditional media. They will look through hashtags on the platforms that are using them. So depending on what word you choose, you can have 10 usages of this hashtag or 100 people asking about it every hour. So it's super crucial which do you use, and adding all of them is never the solution. Like the attention span and the space that you have is always limited. So choose wisely, and just the number and the sentiment around particular hashtag is super important.
Okay. Okay. I mean, I still use them when I'm posting social stuff our company. I'm sure I'm still getting shown stuff on my various feeds based on hashtags. So it seems to be still an integral part of the algorithms across multiple different platforms. So therefore, I imagine it's important for businesses to be aware of the important hashtags within their industry that are relevant to their brand, to their business, to their product, to their service, and then to also be monitoring those as, again, it's going to be vitally important data, which they should use, or at the very least be aware of what's going on around that.
Yeah, totally. Even on LinkedIn, I see people using hashtag artificial intelligence, which sounds very professional. And I totally get why they choose artificial intelligence as a hashtag, but it has several thousand usages per day, and AI has several millions. So there's a huge difference when it comes to the reach of this hashtag that is connected to your post when you use it.
Are you able to find more relevant hashtags then that you aren't using, like using Brand24? Is that where the competition analysis would come in, monitoring your competitors and seeing the most used hashtags within that given niche, within that given industry?
Yeah, and monitoring the industry. So, for example, if you're selling soy candles and you're thinking about the hashtag soy candle peaceful light, for example, a few months ago, you could already spot the trends around using like cozy atom evening at home. It was already trending, and you could already attach it to your post and create content that will be trending together with all the conversations online.
Okay, so it's basically just staying ahead of the game, isn't it? Ahead of the at least in line with the competition in order to stay ahead of the competition. Okay, so as we come to the final part then, tracking mentions. I know why it's important for us and our clients. I'm sure it's a hugely important thing for the brands that you see using your platform. So for us, it's the backlink. What other use cases are there of tracking those mentions? How else can it be used in a positive way? So for us, an unlinked mention can be turned into a link, which has huge organic SEO benefits. What other strategies are there around unlinked mentions and the importance of monitoring those?
Well, usually when you're working in marketing or product sales, whatever, you want to get to people who are somehow interested in your topic. So if you're, for example, selling electric cars, you want to get to the journalists that were writing about electric cars. So it's super easy to just type it in as a keyword and get the list of all the people that were writing about it in the past few months. So you can reach out to them and ask, hey, would you like to start a cooperation? Would you like to test our product and leave a review, become our ambassador? Maybe you'd like to do a longer piece, if you're a journalist or an influencer, a longer piece about the whole trend that our company is accidentally the first one to develop, but just write something bigger and, for example, do an interview with our expert. There are multiple use cases when you have those people, depending on the strategy you have, that you can use these people. But the hardest part is finding them always. So when you already have the mention and you find these people, you can think about different strategies. I would also use it to build my own strategy, because very often we see in the SEO industry and in the content marketing, we try to focus on the keywords that are already very popular, that already have the search volume, the keyword difficulty isn't too big. Like, we search for the sweet spot and we try to create our content plan based on that. And several years ago, we created a blog post on Nike content, Nike marketing strategy, and it's huge. Like, hundreds of people are coming to read about Nike marketing strategy based on the search volume. In the beginning, I wouldn't think so. This was like our idea to just write some articles that are not only related closely to the marketing stuff, but maybe something more like general lifestyle based and something that would be more interesting for a general audience, not only for marketers. And this was such a hit that we were thinking about creating more articles like this, but we won't find the search volume in our SEO tools. But with Brand24, we are finding keywords that are generally sexy. Let's use this word. I hope you can beep it, but something that is generally, yeah, you can find the keywords that are not necessarily already visible in the search volumes, because they are not necessarily typed into Google, but they are already trending on social media, and you can spot them before and prepare content for your blog, for your website. You can have a webinar about it. You can do a podcast episode about it. You can start talking about it before it was cool. And then an interesting thing that is happening, when you talk about this first, all the next people that will come to the internet and Google this topic when it's already starting to be popular and emerging as a trend, they will step into your content and they will link to it and they will quote you as one of the sources that was talking about it in the beginning. And that's super important for the marketing industry to be this first person who started talking about it. So if you're monitoring mentions, you'll easily spot that in the word cloud, in your analysis tab, in like any type of report you will type in, you will get this ideas straight to your face, which is always a good thing in a busy times.
I think that's fantastic. I mean, it's like a keyword research tool that's got crystal maze mode as opposed to, because it takes time for these tools to scrape and then compile these estimates of search volume. Whereas if, something's blown up on social today and is going to become a high search volume keyword in the next 6 months, then we can spot that, identify that, produce content on that, rank for it faster than competition, and be steps and steps ahead. So that's fantastic. Really, it sounds like it should be, within that core marketeer's arsenal of weaponry, like keyword research tool, Google Search Console. Like, you need a media monitoring ability, especially in today's environment. We're not just Google, are we? We are multi-platform. The existence now of multiple search engines, all of the different social platforms, and then obviously the AI large language models and search engines as well. So it's a huge thing to stay on top of. And like I said, anyone that hasn't had the chance, go and do the free trial on Brand24. The software is fantastic. You give yourself a weekend to get to grips with it, because there's loads in there to look around, but it is fantastic. So just the final thing I want to talk about now, we're on links. Like, that's what we do. We see so many, we convert probably 40% of our links for our individual clients come from unlinked mentions, whether that is a mistake on the journalist's part, or it's been an oversight and they've included the commentary, or they've included the information that we've sent to the journalist on behalf of the client, and they've mentioned the client's name and they've not linked to the website. And just having a simple follow-up strategy to go to that journalist, that publication, the editor of the publication, and say, look, you've mentioned us, but you didn't include a link. Can you add a link? 40 to 60% success rate we have with that simple strategy. So as a link building strategy on its own, being able to monitor your brand name and those key terms associated with your brand name, it's like a no-brainer. Are you seeing people use your platform for this and having a big success rate as well?
Yeah, we totally have several agencies working with us, but also international marketing teams that have this one person that is handling SEO and link building. And, they struggle with time, and they are responsible for all the technical on-site SEO, but they are also responsible for the off-site SEO and just outreaching to people all around the world. And they are so tired and so frustrated with sending emails that no one responds to, that this technique and increasing your CTRs and your open rates with the emails when you ask someone to do something that they are not legally obliged to do. This is just...
Yeah, well, that's an art, isn't it?
Yeah. And I've been in this, in the marketing industry for over 10 years now. And I started in SEO. I started as a copywriter intern that was doing this outreach. So I know how frustrated it is. And people still do it in a very similar manner. We are talking human to human, very often with AI involved, but the success rate is often depending on how human you sound and how good timing and how good argument do you have. Because when you're writing in regards to the article that was published 5 years ago, everybody will be like, whoa, yeah, that's not going to be very helpful for the readers because they are not there already. But if you're writing in regards to the article that was published yesterday, it's still fresh. It still makes sense to add the value for the readers and give them a link to follow to find more information about what you were talking about.
And we know how important digital PR is for brands, and obviously the stuff that we do for our clients in terms of proactive digital PR outreach to journalists, we are trying to get the journalists to cover our clients in the media. I imagine for much larger brands that are using the Brand24 platform, they are receiving a combination of their proactive digital PR and then just in general, they are getting talked about on the internet, probably by a number of large, influential and authoritative publications. So the opportunities for the much larger brands is probably quite overwhelming. Are you seeing very large brands actively convert as many of those unlinked mentions as they can across the web? Do they have teams of people doing this for them? How do you see that unfold?
Depending on the structure, like there's no one rule that would apply to all the companies in all the world. We definitely see country managers or group managers or brand managers that are interested in brand because they have several brands or several countries or like several different industries to keep up, and they really need this automation and they need key numbers to follow, and they need an every month, every quarter, every year report on how good or bad are we doing, what's the reach, what's the social media reach, what's the advertising value equivalent of our communication, like does the money do the job, the money that we invest in the marketing. So this is definitely a very popular use case for people that needs to make decisions, business decisions and budget decisions regarding the marketing, that they are not super up to date with the operations. But with the SEO teams, it's even harder because very often in one group, when you have several brands or product, you're cannibalizing yourself and you're competing with your friends from the same team or from the same country that is doing exactly the same thing. So it's super helpful when you can have one source of information, then maybe try to set some rules and divide the work, just not to target the same people and write the same emails to them, because then definitely everybody will.
Yeah, 100%. Well, Justyna, thank you so much for coming on and talking to us about the importance of monitoring your brand. Some of the use cases, I think anybody that's listening to this that isn't using a social listening tool should definitely and will go and check out Brand24, because the use cases are just fantastic, I think. And the ability to set your business in a direction at a greater velocity than that you are, and the results that you could achieve, I think is fantastic. Where can people find you if they want to reach out and get in touch?
With me personally, I would suggest LinkedIn, because this is the only social medium that old people use. But yeah, LinkedIn would be perfect. I think you need to add the link in the description of this episode, because people definitely won't write my name from how I pronounce it.
I'll put the LinkedIn in the show notes for sure. Yeah. So thank you so much for coming on, Justyna. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Chris. It was a lovely talking to you.
And that wraps up this episode of Market Movers, Building Brands and Links with Linkify. Big thanks to our parent company, Linkify, the wizards behind turning ambitious businesses into standout brands. Hit up our website at linkify.io and take the first steps towards brand greatness. Big shout out to Fame for making this podcast possible. Thanks for listening, folks. Stick around for more insights in our next episode. Catch you later.